Canada and Mexico, number 19 in the world, number 31 in the world. Canada trying to break the trophy drought. It's all happening. And Jordan Wilson, you know as well as anyone, all of the excitement, the momentum, the talking, the gesticulating at times as I do this with my hands about these matches. And is it Canada's time? Can Canada back up all of that talk? Should they back it up? Are they the favorites?
I thought about this long and hard, Adam Jenkins. But first, before I answer, I just got to talk about Wheels' shirt. St. Patrick's Day, you went
he brings
hard,
it.
my guy.
He brings
every year. Shout out to the dog, Gareth Wheeler. Are Canada favorites going into the semifinal Nations League match? Hell yes.
Come on, Jordan.
They have to be. They have the players that are in form. The last time that they played Mexico in September, the 0-0 draw where Mexico was parking the bus and doing all sorts, the respect that they had for Canada. Going into this match, I don't care about rankings and the FIFA rankings. I care about the players that are actually playing. And if you look at the top 5 players on the pitch, I would say and argue a lot of them are playing for the Maple Leaf, are playing for Canada right now. If you're looking at the top 5 in this match, I would say more of the 5 are playing for Canada. So 3 out of those 5 are playing for Canada than for the Mexican
60%.
side. There it is. I would say they're the stronger side going into this. I don't think this match is going to be huge. I don't think it's going to be a 3-0 win. I think it's going to be cagey and grindy. I think they're going to have to be obviously their best selves to get a performance. But I look at this Mexican side, I look at this Canadian side, like what should Canada really fear going into this match? Outside of the fact that they haven't beaten a Mexican side in a big tournament to go on to play a finals and then obviously win that. Like they haven't won something since 2000. That's the overarching thing. But this game in itself, I'm putting Canada, like I'm expecting them to go to finals and either play Panama or the US. I don't see how you could think different.
Well, the bookmakers would think different because they're making this like really a coin toss. It's plus 160 both ways. And that tells me that this is going to be a low scoring, tightly contested match. And that's what I expect. Just look back to one of the worst games I can remember. Back in September, a goalless draw between these two sides. There was like a foul every 20 seconds in that game. There was almost, I think there was like 45 fouls committed in the game. It was ridiculous. And Javier Aguirre has had Mexico a little bit longer now. They've taken some steps in the right direction. Remember, he was a new manager with the national team at that time. So maybe they'll be a little bit more comfortable in their own skin. But I think that they're going to go about the game in a very similar way. They're just not going to let Canada play. And that's where Canada hasn't really shown that they can play that way and succeed. We all know what Canada's strengths are. They're very good in playing in transition. You don't think that Mexico knows that? They didn't allow them to use their speed and extend their legs last game. So it's going to be in LA. It's going to be a much bigger crowd than there was in Arlington, Texas. In a friendly, this game matters. It's a statement match trying to get to a Concacaf Nations League final. So I think it's going to be very difficult. That being said, do I think Canada are the better team? Yes, I do, but I don't think it's a slam dunk. It's by a significant margin here, and lots can go into determining how this game plays out. So I really think at this point it's a coin toss based upon style, based upon teams, based upon proximity where the game's being played. I think it's as even as it gets.
So to recap, Gareth says take the under on goals, take the over on fouls, whatever it is, smash the over. Mortgage your house on the over on fouls in the game. Gareth, you've been steadfast in your belief that this is a very good Canadian team, but it's not as though there aren't any questions about it. In fact, you did a really good video highlighting some of your questions about the roster. So check it out, viewer of this program, if you haven't already. But if that person who's watching, Gareth, has yet to see it, and they should, give them one question you have about this team.
Well, there's 8 core players in this Canadian team that I think are like on top form right now. It's the back 4. It's Eustachio in the midfield. It's Jonathan David, Kyle Larin in attack. And Larin's not playing 90 minutes every game, but he's not an every game player or 90-minute player for the Canadian men's national team either. And Promise David, a brand new player into the Canadian mix. Other than that, every single player, there's kind of form and fitness questions pertaining to them. Thought it was really good news over the weekend that Tejan Buchanan started in a match against Real Madrid. Mathieu Chouanier also met 90 minutes. So perhaps some of these players will be a little bit more fit than we think, but it's just about the readiness of this team right now. It seems to me like Jesse Marsch was trying to do two things at once when naming this team. Yes, he's trying to name the most competitive team possible, squad possible for these two upcoming games, but at the same time, he's still looking ahead to 2026. Like that's what it's all about. He's kept some players who aren't in great form or younger players for the future being part of this mix, because this is what I believe. I believe that he believes that they firmly have a place in his plans for 2026 as well. So it's very hard to balance both things. Richie Larea has been announced. He's out. Zorn Basong has come in to camp. So some of the reliable players that Marsch has leaned on, they're just not at 100%, or they're not available for this fixture altogether. And then the second thing really quickly, Adam, is even against Suriname, like, it wasn't a very good opponent that they played. And I just want to see Canada in those tight, difficult moments able to systematically break down a team. And that's what it might come down to. Is Canada really good enough in possession in terms of their overall movement, in terms of their overall execution, to go on and break down a team that might be a little bit more stubborn defensively? Canada's goals, and this even dates back to when John Herdman was manager, have come in transition, have come in taking advantage of mistakes made by the opponent and just getting forward quickly and being punishing in their nature. If this game is a slower, more methodical chess match, do Canada have the pieces and really have the ability to execute in that way to kind of come out on top in a match like this? That's why I just think it's going to be low scoring. It's going to be tight. It's going to be cagey. There's not going to be much between these two sides.
Well articulated. Jordan Wilson, if you were to have one question about this roster, you believe they're the favorites. We got a hell yeah from you. But if there was a question,
enthusiastic.
I give a hell yeah, and I stand by it. I don't have any question marks. Obviously, in an ideal world, you have players that are healthy. You have a Larea maybe coming off the bench, or you can have Adekube, and you can do all these things. But that's just not life, right? Where you have everyone healthy all at the same time.
No.
I agree with Wheels in terms of the transition and the fact that that's how Canada's been. That's been their bread and butter. And if you could date back to the last Nations League final, that was a question mark that everyone had: is what's Plan B, right? When the U.S. just said, okay, fine, all your fast players, I want to run 60 yards. We'll make them run 10 and see what happens. They didn't have a Plan B. What's giving me confidence right now, I don't want to get ahead of myself about the finals, because I still think the semifinal is the final, right? Obviously in the tournament. But I think Canada finally have the players, the system, the belief from the manager to maybe mix things up. This will never be a team that doesn't thrive off their pace and their strength and the transition. That will always be the number one. But I do think now crosses into the box, playing in little tight areas, actually punishing teams in the final third, is something that I could say is a part of the DNA. Have they shown it all the time? No. But look how long Jesse Marsch has had the tenure and how many games they've played and how many players have emerged in the past year and a half. So I think we'll start to see that. That is my hope going into this match against Mexico. Even though transition is still their bread and butter, I think they could add a little twist in that match. But this is the time to show it, because we've been talking about this team and the talent. Promise David coming in, Jefferson, different strikers that can play up top, different wingers that are showing. Ali Ahmed, is he fit? All these guys need to put a 9 out of 10 performance in. If they can do that, they're going to the finals. And for me, could take this tournament. This could be the time. So they just have to show what they're made of.
3 days away, ladies and gentlemen. 3 days only. Canada and Mexico on One Soccer. We'll continue to look ahead to that tournament as we get up to the game, as we reach the game, and as we debrief from the game. It's kind of our whole thing here on One Soccer.